Let this be the year you finally choose to be accountable. Accountability is so important for your ability to be on a healthy path of growth and healing and transformation. You need people who you are accountable to. The truth of the matter is that we are not perfect. We all have our blind spots, we all have our flaws, and we need people who can see things that we can't see. We need people who can challenge us concerning things we may be doing or things we may be believing or perceiving. We need people who have gone on the path of healing and transformation and have wisdom that can, put us on the right path and let us know, like, hey, what you're doing ain't right, align yourself. Like I said, we are not perfect. We all have our blind spots. And if left to your own devices, you can fall into error. Everyone is capable of falling into error. And that's why we need people. That's why you need people. That's why you need accountability. When we look in history or even in recent times, people who have done crazy stuff, like horrible stuff, are people who either weren't accountable in that they only had yes men and they had no one who could check them, or people who refused to listen to the voices of those they were meant to be accountable to. There's a saying by John Acuff that goes like, leaders who can't be questioned end up doing questionable things. And if you cannot be checked, if you cannot be corrected, if you have no one there who can, challenge you in terms of, like I said before, your beliefs, what you're doing, or even challenge you to bring you up higher, you will either find yourself falling into error or remaining complacent and not actually seeing growth and progress in your life. You need accountability. And you also need accountability in the sense of like people that you can go to, you can talk to, you can like literally be honest and transparent and open with, people who can see you for you, love you, and pour into you and encourage you. You need that. And in regards to accountability, there's two main types of accountability. There's the accountability where one person takes more of a nurturing role. So this person would be someone who possesses a level of wisdom or experience in the area that you're seeking to grow in, and this person pours into you. They're able to, kind of like direct you and give you advice on how to come up higher, how to move forward, how to navigate through the hurdles that you may be going through because they have experience on how to get through it because they've gone through it before. So that's one type of accountability. And you'll usually see this kind of dynamic in like mentor, mentee, teacher, student relationships, like connections. And I just want to say that this dynamic is not limited to age. There could be someone who is younger than you that because they possess a level of wisdom, a level of experience in a certain area, they take on this nurturing role and they would mainly pour into you and you mainly receive. And the other type of accountability would be where you and the other person that you're in relationship with, in connection with, are more or less on the same journey of becoming. Obviously, we're unique individuals, so we are all transforming and growing in specific and unique individual ways, but you're still kind of on that same level playing field, like growing and navigating through life. And in these dynamics, you would pour into each other, you would learn from each other, learn with each other, and encourage each other. It's just like that you are there to show each other that you're not alone in this journey. Like we're all growing. And this dynamic you'll normally find with acquaintances, your peers, your friends. And it's so important for you to be able to discern the nature of the alignments that you have and the type of accountability that you have, so you're able to establish the right boundaries and have the right expectations, so you're not left confused, frustrated, or disappointed. And so actually the purpose of those relationships, those connections, the purpose of the accountability that is in your life is able to actually be fulfilled. Because so many times we find that actual relationships that are supposed to be in your life, in our lives, sometimes actually fall through or they get messed up. Why? Not because anyone was bad or because they were the wrong people for you, but rather it's because there was wrong expectations and wrong boundaries. So it's so important that you are able to discern the nature of the relationship, the nature of the accountability, and act accordingly. So, for example, in the types of accountability where one person takes a place of like a mentor and there's a mentee, these people are not necessarily your friends. It doesn't mean they don't like you. It doesn't mean that they don't care for you, But the way that you act with your friends and the boundaries and the expectations you will have of your friends, you wouldn't necessarily apply that to these particular types of relationships. It could be met with resistance, it could become awkward, like it's just inappropriate. And so it's so important that you are able to identify the nature of your alignments and act accordingly. In the same way in your friendships or the accountability where you're both kind of like on the same level ground, like playing field, it would be quite inappropriate for you or the other person to try and take a nurturing role. The nature of that accountability would not facilitate that dynamic. That dynamic would just not be appropriate in that specific relationship. One of you would end up getting burnt out. One of you would end up feeling like, oh, what's going on? Like, you're not my mom, I'm not your child, like type of thing. It just wouldn't work. So it's so important that you are able to discern the nature of your relationships, the nature of the accountability that's in your life. So you're able to have the right expectations, establish the right boundaries, and act accordingly. So these relationships that are in your life, that are supposed to be in your life, can actually fulfill its purpose. And so you can be empowered and thrive. And also, so you can impact others for their benefit too, because relationships that are in our lives is not just about us. It's not just about, oh, what can we get? It's what can we give to? How can we serve? Being a healthy, healed, empowered person is not about how what we can get, what we can get. Yeah, have the right people, but it's like, how can we serve? How can we serve the people in our lives too? How can we be a blessing to the people in our lives too? Whether it be our mentors or our friends. So yeah, accountability is so important. Don't run away from accountability. It is good for you and it actually protects you from falling into error and into making crazy mistakes. So, yeah, let this be the year that you choose to be accountable.